the Nextovers trend, future youth fashion and key trends for spring-summer crafts. That and more on today's episode.
Want to know what's next? For over 2 decades, we've led the world's most influential brands to create the right products at the right time for tomorrow's consumer. This is WGSN's Client Questions Answered.
Hello and welcome to the show where our experts from around the globe unpack your biggest challenges. I'm Carla Bazzashi, CEO at WGSN. Let's get to it. Our first question comes from a client asking, the cost of living crisis has given rise to a trend called Nextovers. What does this look like? For this, let's hear from Rachel Tan, our food and drink specialist in Singapore. Over to you, Rachel.
So this idea of Nextovers is gaining traction on social media as consumers hack their way to cost-conscious yet creative meals. Nextovering is a more intentional approach to transforming leftovers, surplus meal components and unused ingredients into a completely different meal the next day. For example, prepping extra roast potatoes for dinner today to turn them into tortillas the next, or transforming leftover pad thai takeout into Vietnamese spring rolls with rice paper and fresh herbs. Taking inspiration from innovators, our latest key trend report shows brands how to leverage the Nextover trend for new product development, including transformative condiments, updated bulk formats, and adaptable meal kits.
Thank you, Rachel. You can actually tune into our podcast, Create Tomorrow, for a special episode on brand survival in the cost of living crisis, from key strategies to how consumer behaviours are evolving. Our next question comes from a client asking, after the popularity of Y2K, what are the next youth fashion trends? A brilliant question. Let's head to London to hear from Mia Jacobs, WGSN's youth strategist for fashion. Take it away, Mia.
The influence of the noughties is still set to continue, but we're moving towards the indie scene from the mid-2000s to early 2010. This aligns with a new wave of hedonism that's emerging and a lust for partying. The aesthetic can be described as spontaneous, unpretentious, and free-spirited. As well as the indie direction, we've noticed a shift towards smarter aesthetics among the youth consumer and a resurgence of 90s minimalism and relaxed tailoring. This has been prompted by TikTok trends such as the Downtown Girl, which revolves around the romanticization of city life in New York. However, this direction really is global, especially where travel restrictions still remain in countries like China. There's a renewed focus on domestic travel as consumers choose to explore their hometowns instead. This is in stark contrast to the idealization of rural life and cottagecore trends, which was spurred on by the pandemic. High-low styling is key for this aesthetic, and it's all about mixing youth essential basics with relaxed tailoring. As we know, Gen Z loves shopping for secondhand and pre-loved clothing, and key items for this trend, such as the leather jacket, can be easily thrifted.
Great stuff, Mia. Our final question for today comes from a client asking, what are the key trends for crafting this spring-summer season? Giving us their insight is Cassandra, our interiors analyst in New York. Let's hear from her now.
Craft continues to be a huge opportunity for the interiors market. Recently, Creative World, the trade show specifically dedicated to craft, displayed with both Ambient and Christmas World for the first time in Frankfurt altogether, showing a huge shift to how the market is really investing in this sector. For spring and summer this season, we're seeing 2 main themes come driving the different trends. One is trans-seasonality and the other is sustainability. Within trans-seasonality, we're seeing a wider approach to print, pattern, and color to make it be applicable from spring to summer and throughout the year. Think of red, white, and blue palettes that, if isolated to just red and white and blue and white, have a more wintry feel, or even focusing more on patterns like ginghams and florals that are a bit broader in application. Or when we look at the rabbit icon, which is related to the Lunar New Year this year, it can also be used for Easter and springtime. For sustainability, think organic materials. On the more adult end, we're looking at wood, clay, and dried florals to make really beautiful decor. And for kids, think foraged nature education activities that have a hands-on approach to them.
Thank you, Cassandra. You can find out more in our team's key trend report on spring-summer crafts, with holiday highlights including Passover, Lunar New Year, and Ramadan. That's it for this week. If you have any questions or comments that you'd like answered, please pop them in the comments box for our team. I'm Carla Bazzashi, and I'll see you next time.